What a semi-final draw this might be. Look at that breaking news. Manchester City, mighty Manchester City, have just lost 2-0 to Southampton. Can you believe it, Lee Lawler?
Can't believe it, aye. We were all thinking, when we were doing the videos last night, thinking, avoid Manchester City, avoid Manchester City. Well, Mr. Greenwood, I can tell you, we will 100% avoid Manchester City tonight.
Unbelievable. They've literally just been beaten 2-0 to Southampton. The other team in the draw on Nottingham Forest. They have just beaten Wolves 4-3 on penalties. It finished 1-1. Willie Bolly scoring against his former club. He couldn't miss. He was a yard out. And Raul Jimenez was 3 yards out to make it 1-1. And then right at the end, penalty shootout. Dean Henderson makes 2 saves to make sure that Nottingham Forest are going to be in the semi-final draw. So number 1, Manchester United. They beat Charlton last night by 3-0. 2 for Marcus Rashford, 1 for Anthony. Number 2, Newcastle United, following that 2-0 win over Leicester, are going to be number 2 in tonight's draw, which is going to take place imminently. Number 3, Nottingham Forest, as we just mentioned, have just beaten Wolves, which is, I'm not going to say an upset because they're both near the bottom, but possibly slightly easier out of the 2. Wolves are a tough team to beat. And number 4, Southampton. I'm here with Lee. Press the like button for the semi-final draw. I think everyone feels sick at the minute. I think I was sick watching that Southampton-Manchester City game. Subscribe to the channel as well. Honestly, this is going to be really, really interesting to see who Newcastle do get in this draw. Lee, just before we talk about the draw, and it's imminent. It is really, really is. It's imminent.
That word, imminent.
It is. Little recap on last night. A big win. A 2-0 win. The one thing I want to ask you, though, do you think the fans coming out the ground didn't kind of realise what was happening? I just felt like it was just another win at times. I don't think the realisation of being in a semi-final of a major cup competition hit Newcastle fans last night.
Well, I think it did for us. I think more people were just out of the moon for Dan Burn, to be honest with you, because it was all about Dan Burn last night, wasn't it? It wasn't the fact that Newcastle are in a semi-final. So buzzing for him, to be honest with you, because he's representing us. Jordy's, and we'll never have the opportunity to score, and he's, you would have dreamt of that as a Ben 8-9-year-old, and then getting in the academies, and he thought that chance would have gone when he's playing lower league down the football, and he's gradually come to the pyramid. And then it's the stuff of dreams, isn't it? You're scoring at the Gallagher, which for me is the best stand in the whole of St James's Park. It's where the noise is. He scores with his wrong foot. So there was a few betting odds. He jokes on that he's no good in the air, but he says he's fairly decent with his foot, but it's the wrong foot. It's a great finish. I think it's a great goal. And then obviously he runs to his family in the other and the west corner of the Gallagher and the scenes. It was more about Dan Burn, strangely, but we're excited about the night because it's a semi-final draw that Newcastle are. And looking at that draw now, Johnny, is that really we expected Man City to be there, but they're not. So now I reckon we could do Manchester United over 2 games, but that's probably the club I want to avoid.
Are Newcastle United favourites for this trophy now?
No, we're not. I think it'll be Man United still. I think we'll be second favourites. So if we do draw Manchester United, am I really going to say this? I think the winner of that game over the 2 legs wins the trophy.
I said last night, before this game between Manchester City and Southampton, I said, look, it's going to be very, very difficult to get past Man City in 2 legs. We don't have that now. I'm just watching Wolves miss that penalty once again. Dean Henderson sliding. He could have slid to the Trent ending back the way he was going. But yeah, look, we've got Sam Milner on as well. Good evening to you, Sam. You're the betting expert, actually. We could get you on. Newcastle.
Steve will bring you on a little bit later, mate.
Sam, just a quick one. You're the betting expert. Newcastle, would you say they're favourites or they're slightly second favourites now?
There won't be a market till the draw's done. So it will depend on the fixtures. They'll be second favourites in essence, because Man United will be the favourites because they've been there, done it, and serial winners up until very recently. But after that, I mean, no one would have thought Southampton would have got the job done in relatively easy fashion in the end.
Haaland was on for half an hour and 35 minutes and didn't really have any real chances on goal that I can remember.
I don't think. Did they have a shot on target at the end? Because I know
Alvarez had one.
That was it.
Stretching, yeah.
But I think we want to play Man United in the final, don't we? Let's face it. I fancy Man United in a one-off game in a final. Over the 2 legs, it could be tricky.
I'd rather get put out in the semi-final, to be honest.
To be fair, you look at it, and you would look at Nottingham Forest and Southampton in particular, but go, I hope we get Forest.
Tough.
I hope we get Southampton. That's what it is. People are saying, what time's the draw? From what I've heard from Sky Sports News, around about 10:15 is what we're being told is going to be the draw. So in around about 15 minutes' time.
That's just Johnny saying, hang on, lads, we're going to keep you to 10:30.
No, it's honestly, I'm not honestly, it was literally, I was watching the penalty shootout and they said the draw was around about 10:15. I'll just repeat those scores for the quarterfinal results are on my telly right now. Manchester United 3, Charlton 0. They're number 1 in tonight's draw. Number 2, of course, in Newcastle United because of Dan Burn and Joelinton getting the goals last night. We'll get Sam's reaction on that because, of course, he'll want to talk about that. And then tonight, Nottingham Forest are through on penalties after beating Wolves. It was 1-1 after 90 minutes. Bolly, the former Wolves man, getting the goal for Nottingham Forest. No celebration there. Jimenez equalised for Wolves, but Forest winning 4-3 on pens. Dean Henderson saving 2. And then we've just seen there Southampton 2-0 win over Manchester City tonight. Incredible. You've got the scores on your screen as Lee's putting it up on there now. But Lee, not Lee, we'll get Sam's reaction on this. Sam, Newcastle winning last night. Can I have your thoughts on Newcastle's performance? Did 2-0 flatter Leicester City last night?
Of course it did. I mean, it could have been 3 or 4 at half time. In the days of old, we would have probably been kicking ourselves and we would have let our good play go to waste, and Jamie Vardy would have took that chance away and Leicester would have won 1-0. But it just seemed like we were by far the better team. Leicester missing a few players, but let's not detract from what was a very, very, very dominating performance, and we were well worth the win. Bruno superb, Dan Burn superb, Almiron superb, Joelinton superb.
Why wearing red top? Well, Jordy,
I'm not.
Well, I'm a big Ferrari fan, so I've got a legit reason. I don't know about Mr. Muller now.
You read? I don't know. I
think that's his work top, believe it or not.
I own tops of all colours. You know, I don't.
Is that your Argos t-shirt, sorry?
No, I don't work for Argos, do I?
That could have fooled me. Yeah. Let's be honest. Let's talk about the draw in general, because look, there's only 3 teams that we can face in the draw now. It feels weird. Normally we're doing last 32 draws or last 16 draws. This is really, really weird. I have to be honest, regardless of who we face, I'm a bit like Lee, Sam. Even if it is Man United, I'm kind of like, you know what? Bring it, game on. Because I fancy us over Man United 2 legs. But ideally, you'd want Forest or Southampton, of course.
You do, but do you not want to be drawn second, so we've got the second leg at home?
Correct.
Yeah, of course you do. I'm just watching the Southampton goals again. Fantastic goals, by the way.
Because then if you avoid defeat against any one of those 3 sides, you fancy yourself in St James's Park with our record. So even if we've got Forest, for example, we drew, 1-1 away down the City ground, we'll come back to St James's Park and I think we can do them.
Look, it's a semi-final. There's no easy games at this point, is there? I know Southampton are struggling, but new manager bounce. Forest, they signed 84 players in the summer, and they're just starting to click into gear now. So,
sorry, just to put in, I do apologise, right? And just a big thanks to Tendy Item to becoming a YouTube member. The link is in the description below, and you can press join to become a member. There's a Twitter account, right, that has like common phrases of football. Everyone's just saying like the same thing. So the phrase "there or thereabouts" will be there or thereabouts towards the end of the season, right? There was literally one today where going, "There's no easy games. There's no easy games." But everyone's going, "There's no easy games in international football. There's no easy games in the Premier League. There's no easy games in the Championship." I was crying, absolutely crying.
I've seen that. There's the your Man Uniteds, your Forests, your Southamptons, your Newcastles. Yeah, I've seen
the one where they go, your Real Madrids and your Rochdales.
Yeah. But look,
Lee, Lee, do you want to go to Nottingham? Do you want to go to Southampton, or do you want to go to Manchester?
I'm going to get to Southampton again. I've been there. I don't want to be driving through them. It all depends. Look, it depends on the work situation, doesn't it? Southampton, ideally, I want the next day off because I don't want to do the same thing that I did early on the season.
If you drive to mine, I'll drive to Southampton and back, so you can do your little bits in the car. It'll be fine. Don't worry. Don't panic.
The last Southampton game, I was at work the Saturday. Johnny, you were doing there as well. I had to drive doing the Sunday, do all the videos, drive all about that same night to go to work on Monday. So, as long as I've got the next, that's probably, look, I'll take it. Of course, look, beggars can't be choosers, you know what I mean? I think my option now is avoid Manchester United because they're the best out of the other three. But if you give us Southampton, I'll take it. But I'm just twisting about the travel, that's all. Let's be honest. If you give me an opportunity where you said, Lee, you know, it's January, you're in the semi-final, you've got Southampton over 2 legs, I'm like, bring it on.
Sam, is the most important thing, regardless of who we face, is that we're at home second leg?
It's not vital. It would be nice. It's not imperative that we're at home the second leg because we've picked up some fantastic away. We don't need to fear having the second leg away from home. It's one of them where it would be nice because you want to finish the job at home. I just think of that atmosphere. I mean, look at what was there last night. I mean, it's going to be even better if we finish the job and get to a Wembley Cup final by finishing the stronger at St James. Just dreaming of this now is what we've been waiting how many years for. So, yeah, it's not imperative, but it would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it really, really would. It's over 700 of you watching right now. Can you please hit that like button, subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV? I'm literally just finishing off the last couple of interviews. They've got James Ward-Prowse and Gavin Pisano talking to Sky Sports right now before this draw. James Ward-Prowse is saying, I'd love to face Newcastle over 2 legs, especially if it was at St James's in the second leg. That's literally what I can tell from his lip reading. The draw is, yes, Ryan, 10:15, so not too long, around about 5-10 minutes until now. We've got the team from last night, Lee. I wasn't surprised with that team. I think obviously Alan saint-maximin was obviously a player that Newcastle fans kind of wanted to be involved, but he probably was never really going to be involved. I want to single out Joelinton in his performance last night. I thought he was just about man of the match. And when you watch the game again, or you watch the highlights rather, he was everywhere. And there's a clip going around 8 minutes in, running like a madman to press the Leicester defence when some would argue the game was already won. He was a man possessed last night, Lee.
Yeah, Joelinton's that little interchange with Joe Willock. And I have to say Joe Willock as well was sensational as well. There's a big YouTuber who used to do a lot of Newcastle videos slagging him off last night, and I didn't agree with that one bit because I think Joelinton, he surprises a lot of players, Joe Willock, with his pace. Because I don't think people look at him and think, ooh, bloody hell, he's quick, isn't he? I think he just surprised a lot of people. And I think that's why Eddie Howe likes to swap him and Joelinton around. Joelinton, he's man possessed, and when he's up for it, he's a world beater. I still don't like him out on the left permanently. I'd rather see ESM, but that side on your screen, if there was a cup final tomorrow, I think that would be the starting 11.
I think you're right. Obviously, I know there's still a transfer window left to talk about, which we might mention a little bit later on. But Sam, you obviously watched the game as well last night. The defence barely got tested. Jamie Vardy had 2 real big opportunities, which he should have scored at least 1. But I want to single out Dan Burn this time because he was actually doing a lot more going forward for Newcastle as well, in terms of not just cutting back and trying to pass. He was actually trying to get the crossing a couple of times, nearly got a deflected own goal in the second half. But he managed to get his just rewards in the second half with that goal. I think a lot of Newcastle fans have dreamt of that moment. A Boyhood fan wanting to score for Newcastle at the Gallagher as well, where probably a lot of his family have been watching over the years. And to score that goal and the roar, like I know you're watching on television, but I'm sure you could have heard the roar from St James's Park from where you were.
Yeah, the goal itself actually reminded me a little bit of Jose Enrique's against Forest all them years ago. Dan Burn was absolutely phenomenal. He's just, who would have thought? And yes, the wonderful images of him mixing some shapes. Lovely stuff. And us tall folk can move. What can I say? But who would have thought?
We're waiting. Give us a demonstration then.
No.
Well, we're waiting then. You said you're tall.
Yeah, but yeah, I said I'm tall. Yeah.
And us tall folks can move on that.
We'll save that for the next NFTV night out.
Yeah, but yeah, no, phenomenal. And because what I did like about last night as well, Willock was on the left in the first half. Joelinton didn't really go out to the left till the second half, and whatever that case was, Dan Burn was still getting forward. He didn't play like a centre back playing left back. You know, he played like a fully fledged proper left back, and he's just superb. Honestly, I just so happy for him. The noise when it hit the back of the net, and there's no better noise than hearing that ball hit the back of the net either. And then Dan Burn Gallagher end. Oh wow! What a moment for him! What a moment for him! Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. Carries on his great form. He was brilliant second half at Arsenal. Dealt with Saka superbly well. And yeah, the only thing from last night, I felt a bit sorry for Perez. Bless him. I didn't like
see what he left on Bruno.
Oh, apart from that, then I thought he was a dick. But
Cup, so
I don't know.
There's nearly 900 of you watching right now. Just to recap quickly on the draw: Manchester United number 1, they beat Charlton last night. Number 2 is Newcastle. Number 3, Nottingham Forest. They managed to get a couple of wins at home at the City ground now. They've got Leicester at the weekend. I think they'll fancy their chances on that one. And number 4 is not Manchester City. It is Southampton. Mara with the first goal. Fantastic finish from the Saints forward. And Musa Gineppo was sent off against Newcastle. Very good finish. I don't know what Ortega was doing, man. It reminded me of Sadio Mane against a former Newcastle goalkeeper, Shay Given, when Southampton beat Aston Villa by 6-0. Yeah, look, I personally, if I could choose who I'd want, I would choose Southampton. My reason being, they're not going to bring loads of fans where Forest will, Man United will, and that seemed to work for Newcastle.
Got no fans.
I just think, without being nasty, and I know they've just beaten Manchester City and they deserve the win. They have deserved the win. They're a bit nice. Southampton, they're a nice team to play against. And I just think over 2 legs, I think will just be too strong for them. But look, that's me probably disrespecting Southampton a little bit. But Forest as well. Forest, obviously, like Sam says, they've got 800 new players at the minute. There's probably, to be fair, we've got 981 people watching right now. They've probably got the same amount of players.
That's
since
Forest
the summer.
Reserves.
That's Forest Reserves. So there's over 1,000 of you now watching. Press the like button, subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV on the road to 40,000. The draw is next. It is in the next couple of minutes. They're doing the break. I've just seen Joelinton go like this. He's loving it. The draw, he can't wait for it either. So yeah, we are so close for this draw.
Just regarding the draw, Sammy, you're sticking about?
Yeah, can do.
Right, so that means Carl and Steve will have to park because they'll be out until after the draw. So
yeah, we'll get Carl and Steve's reaction after.
We'll do a reaction to their draw when they come on.
Yeah, because it's past my bedtime.
Yeah, but look, this is a question I want to ask you, Sam. Actually, Fulham will take care of itself. You think Newcastle will get a positive result against Fulham? They have had an excellent season, but they play tomorrow night against Chelsea, so they've only got really just 2.5 days rest, and they've got to travel to Newcastle, which isn't ideal from a Fulham point of view. But the Crystal Palace game's 3 days before that first leg. Maybe 2 days, well, 3 or 4 days, depending on when the game is.
It is.
Do you make changes in that Palace game, or
no?
Because there's a break, between the first leg and the second leg, you can afford to play two.
You've answered your own question. You've been hoisted by your own petard. Yeah, we're in the unique position after that fantastic loss at Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday, where we don't have a game in between the first leg and the second leg. So, whilst it was obviously disappointing to lose at Hillsborough, I was not overly disappointed for this reason, because this was a much greater opportunity. And if we got the win against Leicester, we did. We now have. I mean, it's there for the taking, which is exciting. It's scary.
Question, put in. We'll all do that, Aaron. We'll all do that on camera at Wembley.
I don't think we even need to win the cup for that to happen. Let's face it.
Just one pint of Thatcher's.
What?
I'll do it if Newcastle win the cup outside of Wembley.
The draw is going to be in the next couple of minutes. There's nearly 1,200 of you watching. So just a recap. Manchester United, number 1. They beat Charlton last night by 3 goals to 0. 2 goals for Rashford. He's on fire for Manchester United. Newcastle are number 2. Dan Burn and Joelinton's goals. You'll never, ever beat Dan Burn. His goal was so important. And they're going to be number 2, Newcastle United. Number 3, Nottingham Forest. After that win on penalties, after that 1-1 draw, they won on penalties 4-3. And a bit of a Midlands derby against Wolverhampton Wanderers. And number 4 is Southampton. Jersey Magpie. He's got Newcastle taking on Southampton and Nottingham Forest taking on Newcastle Forest in the final. I thought he said Man United Forest in the other semi-final, but he didn't. Saints at home then take out the Manure. They're not even in Manchester, in Salford. They're the Salford Reds, honestly. Yeah, look, I think get your comments in. Who do you want in the semi-final? If you could choose it yourself. A lot of people are saying Toon versus Forest. I feel it.
I want Shay Given doing the draw again.
It's not Shay Given tonight. The people doing the draw is actually someone from the northeast. Butchers and Mackham. Jill Scott.
Oh, Jill.
The winner of I'm a Celebrity, part of the Lionesses. Fantastic win in the European Championships in the summer. She's doing the draw alongside former Manchester City and QPR defender Nedum Anuha, who also played for Sunderland.
Fun fact, yes, he did. And he gave away the penalty for goal number 3 in the 5-1 demolition.
I remember when he turned into Prime Messi for like 3 seconds when he dazzled through the defence of Chelsea. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I thought
that was the game after the 5-1, wasn't it?
Wasn't far off. Who was manager that day, Samuel, for Sunderland?
Steve Bruce.
His best ever Newcastle result.
It was, yeah.
There are 1,400 of you watching right now. The draw is nearly there. I can see a Sky advert for something on Sky Atlantic, which I know Lee's going to say it's amazing.
It is amazing. It's based on the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 game, which has been made by in-house Sky. So yes, it is a fantastic program. You'll see it all over your adverts.
Yes, well,
and on Sky Atlantic.
On Sky Atlantic.
Yeah, on every advert.
Literally, the draw is moments away. I can't now. The last time there was a semi-final draw, including Newcastle, was the FA Cup semi-final. I was at school and
we got Man United.
Yeah, I got told by my friend's dad. I said, "Did we get Blackburn?" No, you got Man United. I was like, "Oh." I'm just literally showing the goals now. So it looked very, very close. Willie Bolly just prodding it over the line against his former
game, club. Johnny, was obviously, 3 days after the UEFA Cup?
Yeah.
Where that was even more gut-wrenching than our entire season just pissed away in the space of 3 days.
Yeah, so I'm literally just going through each game now, and what is it? 2013 Henderson's very good at saving penalties. Maybe Southampton. Yeah, he'll not want that. Would he want that? Depends if they get to the final. Can you imagine he couldn't play the final of the League Cup because he's against his parent club? He'd hate that. He really would.
Here we go. Yeah, of course, Dubravka was cup-tied last night.
Are there with Mark Chapman, who is going to be conducting the draw. The semi-final numbers: Manchester United, number 1. Newcastle United, who have never won the League Cup, on number 2. Nottingham Forest are 2-time Champions League or European Cup winners on number 3. And number 4 are Southampton. Jill Scott will be joining the home teams on the first leg. Nedum Anuha will be joining the away sides. We are ready. The balls are already in the container. Jill Scott has a hand in the container. I'm getting that nervous. Here we go. The first ball out. 1,600 of you watching. It is number 4, Southampton at home.
Right. This is what we want then.
That one.
Come on,
Number
Nedum.
1, number 2, or number 3.
Come on, Nedum.
Southampton. Come on, Nedum. Do us a favour.
Well, Man U.
2
Man U.
2.
Newcastle. Come on.
Take that.
Like at St James's, it's Southampton versus Newcastle. Newcastle United might be on the road to Wembley. They might just be going to Wembley.
Another midweek trip to St
Newcastle. We're going to take on Man City. Oh, that would be horrible. Nottingham Forest are at home in the first leg against Manchester United, number 1. So Southampton versus Newcastle. Newcastle will be making the long trip to the South Coast. But second leg is at St James's Park. What a tie for Newcastle. Southampton versus Newcastle United is the first draw out. Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United. So Dean Henderson can't play that game, believe it or not. He'd be devastated. He can't play the two games. He'd be devastated. The first leg is the week commencing the 23rd of January. So that is just after the Crystal Palace game. So it'll be Crystal Palace, Southampton, then Southampton. Southampton have an FA Cup tie against Blackpool in the middle of that as well. Newcastle will have a break, a full week's rest for that game, January the 30th. The week commencing that, Newcastle United.
Because you've got Palace, then Southampton. That's horrible for the fans.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You take it. When will tickets become available? Says Roger. Roger, I'm telling you now, tickets will be coming available probably in the next 4 or 5 days, because literally everybody will want a ticket for that.
The battle for loyalty points commences.
Yes. I tell you, we'll definitely get a ticket. Bruno's dad. Bruno's dad has been there since the 70s. He will be at Southampton. He'll be at St Mary's.
Huge Frank Clark fan, apparently.
Yes, big Frank Chipper fan as well, I've heard as well. Lee, let's get your immediate reaction. Southampton away. It's the draw I wanted. You must be happy.
Oh, you've got to take it. Anyone but Man U, realistically. Because I know people say, we can do Man U, but Man United are the team on form at the minute. They're probably, if not the most team in form, they're winning games. Funny that when they got rid of Ronaldo, but Southampton, like I said to you, start the season, you goes rightly. You've got Southampton in a semi-final of a major cup competition. You're going to take that, of course you are. Yes, it's for the travel, for the fans. It's a bit of a nightmare, of course it is. But, as I said earlier, even if we get a draw down there, I think we're so that confident at home. And plus our record of Southampton at home is phenomenal in the Premier League. I think we've only won 1 or 2 in the whole of the Premier League. Ours used to be really bad before lockdown. And then we've started to pick up a few points going down there. So you can't really ask. You would have took Southampton or Forest all day long. Absolutely buzzing with that. If I had to give that a score, I'd probably give that a 9 out of 10. Because I would have probably given Forest a 10.
That is ideal. The only thing I will say is
stop going on about
Man City.
Well, Lee, I'm the one who has to do the travel,
It would have been.
I said, get to mine, then I'll drive to Southampton. We'll go to the game. We'll stay over. We'll go to Peppa Pig World the day after, and then just cruise back up after a lovely day at Peppa Pig World.
All I'm saying is we would have had Man City if they had beaten Southampton. That would have been But yeah, look, the draw is in Southampton versus Newcastle, Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United. I think both Newcastle and Manchester United will be quite happy with that, if I'm honest. I know that it's a long journey to go to Southampton, but the players will be flying down. It'll be fine. It's only an hour flight. I don't think many Newcastle fans will be doing that. I think a lot of them will be getting their buses and their trains sorted now, maybe even cars and taxis on their way down to the South Coast. Sam.
Get Sam's reaction and we'll kick him off.
Yeah, Sam. Are Newcastle United going to Wembley?
Yes.
Have you booked your hotel?
Yes.
Incredible.
Didn't say where the hotel was, but there's a hotel booked for that weekend.
There is. Kel's not. I'm not going to fall into the trap as I did on a previous chat with you. So I don't know if Kel's in the earshot. So we'll say thank you very much, Sam. Have a lovely evening. We'll get Steve's reaction to that draw. Good evening to Steve. Any second now. Steve, your reaction. Newcastle United are going to Southampton in the semi-final. They've avoided Manchester United. How do you feel?
Pretty good. Part of me wanted to take out Man United right here, right now. But the critical thing for me was the second leg at home. You don't want to be going away anywhere looking for a result on aggregate or whatever. So, no, I'll take it all day. Absolutely take it all day. I wanted to avoid Forest just because they're so good at home. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. We won our past 2 games at Southampton, so absolutely battered them, this year. Last year we won 2-1, so we've got 2 wins under wraps. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. Pretty damn good. So, yeah.
There's still 1,000 people live on the chat. Make sure you give this video a like. It's Southampton versus Newcastle. Like for that tie. It's Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United. And Lee, Steve is right. It's a Southampton team that we've had pretty good success over the last couple of years. It's not the same Southampton team with the likes of when Pochettino and Ronald Koeman was in charge, but they still have some good players in there. We shouldn't disrespect Southampton at all.
No, we shouldn't. No, but however, the way that we're playing, I know Nathan Jones has been under a bit of under the caution. He's picked up 2 cup wins, and you never know what might galvanise their season because they're just sitting rock bottom of the Premier League. But realistically, you've got to be confident. If Newcastle don't make, I'm saying this, Newcastle don't make. I'm actually saying that if Newcastle don't make the final, I'd be pretty disappointed now, considering everything's fell in our favour. Like you say, we would have had Man City had they won the night, and then we would all went, oh. But because it's Southampton, I bet all of social media tonight is absolutely buzzing their tits off. Nathan Jones there is just watching the draw, and he's raised his eyebrows and got Newcastle. He says, "Oh,
do you think Nathan Jones will be thinking, "Oh, I didn't want that," or was he not bothered?
He would have wanted Forest. Let's be honest. You wouldn't have wanted Man United and Newcastle, the 2 informed teams in the Premier League who are left in that draw. It's us, Man United, probably Arsenal of the 3 informed teams, maybe Man City to some extent. They've got a cup tonight, but yeah, he's got a 1 in 3 chance of pulling out Forest. And look, Southampton will be up for it. Of course, they'll be looking at us thinking, you know what, we could have got Man United. You know what? So they might say, oh well, Sheffield Wednesday beat us, but these 2 League Cup games are bigger than the Premier League for me. You've got to go full guns blazing. We were talking last night on the last word. I was saying to Carl, the likes of saint-maximin has to start the league games. Isaac has to come in, rotate for me. Still put a strong side out. This League Cup is more important. I've seen a debate going around on Twitter, top 4 or Carabao Cup. I'll get relegated and win a trophy. I want to see a trophy lifted in my lifetime. 37 years old, and I still haven't seen a trophy lifted. And we're very, very unfortunate of the owner that we had before. I want to see us lift a trophy. These 2 games are the biggest games in our history. For me, probably since I've been supporting Newcastle since '95.
Yeah, it's a huge game. Steve, Southampton have just beaten Manchester City. Let's give them a little bit of respect. They deserve to beat Manchester City, by the way. Manchester City brought on the likes of Haaland, De Bruyne, Rodri, who's been phenomenal for Manchester City this season. Foden played most of the game. Grealish played 70 minutes or so. Alvarez played the whole game. Southampton have done a very, very good job at beating Manchester City tonight. They are the upset in terms of, if you look at the 4 cup games.
Yeah.
Where are their biggest strengths, do you think?
For me, it's attacking prowess. I mean, Sekou Mara, who they bought from Girondins de Bordeaux in the summer, young 20-year-old prospect, had a decent year for a really horrible Bordeaux team last year. I'll give you the biggest weakness, actually, because I think that is something that we should exploit. So the youth can be either, actually, we can kind of frame it either way, because the youth that don't have the experience necessarily in this kind of stage. Think of Armel Bella-Kotchap, Bazunu, Lavia, Sekou Mara. I mean, Shea Adams has a bit of experience under him, but I think strength-wise, they go for it. They go for it. They don't show any fear. They don't show any cowardice or anything. They just, all they know how to play one way and one way only. And we need to be careful, because if we don't take our chances, they'll be very eager to take theirs. And they got a few guys that are very capable of finishing off chances. So for me, it's probably attack wise. I think that's their main strength. James Ward-Prowse as well off free kicks. He loves scoring those. So yeah.
Yeah, he scored a couple over the years for Southampton against Newcastle. Number 1, I think it was during COVID. I think he scored a fantastic free kick at St James's. There's a couple of people asking in the comments, will this game be on television in the UK? It will be on Sky Sports. They have the rights for both semi-finals, both first and second legs will be live on Sky Sports, including the final. Including the final of Newcastle United there.
Carl's been waiting. I'll drop out and I'll bring Carl in. I'll still control in the background though.
Okay, no problem. Big thanks to Lee there. We're going to bring Carl in. Carl, good evening to you. Let's get your reaction. Newcastle aren't going to Nottingham. They aren't going to your favourite place in the world. They're not going to Manchester United. They're going back to Southampton.
Who does?
Southampton, Carl.
I'm more than happy with that, mate. More than happy. I said in the chat, I think they would have been the ones I would have gone for, to be fair. On paper, conceded 33, 34 goals this season. I've only scored 11. We've only conceded 1 goal in the Carabao Cup. We have. Everyone struggled to score against us. And like, I don't want to be too disrespectful, but on paper, I just don't think they offer enough to beat us over 2 legs. I really don't. I'd have preferred to send them at home first, if I'm honest. Potentially get the job done and dusted and put the pressure on them away. Last time they beat was back in 2020, and before that was 2016. They've got to be perfect against us over 2 legs, as we said we would have had to have been with Manchester City. We're the team to beat, in my opinion.
Is that the difference, Steve? The fact that it's over 2 legs is the reason why a lot of Newcastle fans are feeling confident. If it was just one game, a one-off game away at Southampton, yes, Newcastle would probably be favourites, but that one game, anything could happen. The fact that it's 2 legs, is that so crucial, Steve?
Yeah, it adds a completely different dynamic, but there's one way and one way only that Newcastle approach games under Eddie Howe, and that's win. I don't think we're going to, let's say we win 2-1 and we just need a draw, or we go 1-0 down. We're not going to be playing for a draw or playing, we can only, just lose 1-0 and we'll be fine. So that's what I like about this team. We go for it no matter what. The approach, the style of play is very consistent. We have an identity under Eddie Howe. Every single one of the guys, just works. And, I'm really, really, I think it's a formula that's going to yield some, a lot of success, I think, under Eddie Howe, to be honest. It's gotten us to this point, right? So it's clearly working. Since we haven't been in the semifinal for 18 years, and what was it, FA Cup versus Man United? So yeah. It's been a while. So yeah, I'm very, very optimistic. I personally would have rather had it just been 1 leg, one and done, but the 2 legs don't bother me that much. It's more football, right? I guess it sucks for the players, but some players have to play a lot. So
yeah, of course they do. See, it's a really good point. That I think, Carl, one thing I would like to ask you: Newcastle were knocked out of the FA Cup by Sheffield Wednesday. Some Newcastle fans were saying that was a blessing in disguise. Southampton are in the 4th round. They have a home draw against Blackpool. Now, Blackpool, let's be honest, they'll probably try and make a bit of an upset there. They'll be targeting that game, thinking we could possibly do something there. I can't see Carl. Steve, can you see Carl? I can see him. He's back. Do you think the fact that Southampton have got an extra game in there as well, if it's close or Newcastle, like say it's a draw after the first leg, or Newcastle winning by a goal, do you think that just plays in Eddie Howe's hands? The fact that Southampton have got an extra game and Newcastle have got a full weekend's rest.
Massively, mate. Massively. I think that's why I wasn't so worried about the FA Cup, because I was just focusing on this Carabao Cup. And obviously hoping and praying to God that Southampton could come up. We'd obviously come out and beat Leicester first of all, and then that Southampton would pull some sort of result out of their backsides. Then regardless of who we've got 1 lesser fixture than the majority of who were left in. So it's definitely going to make a huge difference. I just it's difficult because, like I said, I don't want to be disrespectful to Southampton, because I agree they fully deserve the win tonight, but I genuinely believe this. I think we've got a better defence than Manchester City this season, and on paper that proves that anyway. I think we're favourites. I really, really do. And that sounds insane to say with Manchester United still in the Cup, of course, and obviously their pedigree that they've got. But it just feels like it's written in the stars from here now.
A lot of people have been saying that. I've been talking to a lot of people today about this, and some are Newcastle fans, some are not Newcastle fans. And they're saying that, look, you probably will get through. You probably, depending on who you get in the draw, you probably get to Wembley. The Carabao Cup semi-finals, when do they get played? Please just put that on screen for everybody now. The first leg will be the game after Crystal Palace, so the week commencing the 23rd of January. So we'll be at St Mary's either the Tuesday or the Wednesday or the Thursday, because sometimes they do put a Thursday night for the League Cup. It just depends on Southampton when they play their FA Cup game against Blackpool as well. You then got the second leg, which will be the week commencing the 30th. Newcastle don't have a game in that weekend. It's FA Cup 4th round weekend. Southampton take on Blackpool in the FA Cup 4th round. So Newcastle will have around about 6 to 7 days rest. Southampton won't. Southampton will have that game in the middle of it. So who does that benefit? You'd like to think Newcastle will hugely benefit from that.
And they're in a
Steve has
dogfight
been-
as well, aren't they? They've got
Exactly.
to. We can take our foot off the gas a little bit with regards to the Premier League. They can't. They can't at all.
They've got a massive game this weekend. They've got Everton at Goodison this weekend. That's a huge game for Southampton, but they'll be full of confidence going into that. And let's be honest, Everton are a shambles at the minute. It's amazing how literally Newcastle and Everton are two. You look at them and go, right, how to spend your money is Newcastle. Okay, how to spend your money is Everton. It's incredible how if you get it wrong, you get it wrong. But that's for another day, and maybe that's another video. Steve, you talked about the strengths and the weaknesses of Southampton.
Yeah.
Who would you say is the one player to watch? Is it James Ward-Prowse because he's such a leader? He's such a leader of men when it comes to Southampton. He's the one that they look at, or do you think there's somebody else that we've missed out?
Honestly, you could make a case for a few guys. Bazunu has been, honestly, he's faced a lot of shots, conceded a lot of goals, but very, very capable goalkeeper. Ireland have a decent goalkeeper in the making. They also got Kelleher at Liverpool too. So I'd say maybe that's a standout player. Obviously, James Ward-Prowse, really, really, fantastic midfielder. Just bag of tricks, free kicks, set pieces, corner, all that stuff. So you gotta be wary of him. I also really like Lavia. I really like Lavia a lot. Sekumara, I think the one thing that I think he just needs to improve is just, the physicality side of things. I think if he just bulks up a little bit more, he's got it all. Like I said, he did really well in that Bordeaux team, offensively speaking last year. But yeah, I would say for me, standout player. Probably go James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting.
And also, just wrap up about JWP. Games are won and lost in the midfield as well. So that's also another little thing there. So yeah.
I think that's a really good point actually, because I thought Newcastle lost the midfield battle against Leicester yesterday, Carl. Yeah, I think that was vital for Newcastle going through to the semi-finals. Obviously, we do take on Southampton. What do you think Adam Armstrong's thinking right now? Newcastle fan, born and bred, lived in like I say, his family still live in Newcastle. He moved to Southampton from Blackburn, Carl. Do you think it's almost thinking, is it a win-win for him a little bit because if Southampton win, he gets to play it in a final. If they don't, he's probably in the Newcastle end.
Yeah, definitely.
Against either Manchester United or Nottingham Forest.
It's it would be a really difficult one, wouldn't it? Because you're going to be giving everything you've got for Southampton at the end of the day. So that's probably going to come first and foremost for him. But we know he's a huge Newcastle fan, so I don't think I could play in that game if that was me. I think I'd have to fake some sort of injuries. But for me, I agree with everything said about James Ward-Prowse, but Adam Armstrong would be just because of the link to us and the Northeast.
Right.
It's one of those where there's that potential that he could be a banana skin and pick something out of nowhere and cause heartbreak. Do you know what I mean? We've seen that happen in the past between past players and clubs. So there's always going to be a worry with regards to that. But I just genuinely believe we're too strong, and hopefully it'll be the latter, and he'll be in the same end as us and cheering us on against someone Manchester United. Hopefully, I prefer to play them in the final and beat them. That would be incredible.
It'll be an interesting one to say the least in regards to if Newcastle do get through. I know let's not take it for granted. Southampton have done
absolutely
exceptionally well tonight. They've won the last two games to beat Palace in the FA Cup on Saturday. It was funny actually that I've seen something a couple of days ago, which was just retweeted, and I found it really, really funny actually. So Southampton must have a player that they bought from Manchester City, and his last name's Edozie, right? And someone put a comment saying, "I've heard he's good, but I've heard his brother Fandab's better." So Fandabby Dozie. That's a dad joke, isn't it? That's unbelievable. I was reading, I was like, Fandabby Dozie. I thought that was class.
Love it.
People are probably switching off now just because of that joke. Let's be honest. Nottingham Forest, Man United is the other draw. Yeah, smash that like button, by the way. Newcastle taking on Southampton at St Mary's in the first leg, at St James's the week after. Good luck for everybody trying to get a ticket. But in all seriousness, Nottingham Forest, Manchester United, Carl. Man United will be happy. I think they'll be very happy with that. Not too far for them. You would think Man United will get through if Newcastle do get through, but you never know. we've seen a few shocks over the last couple of rounds, haven't we? So, if Newcastle do go through, do you think it'll be against Man United?
I'd be surprised if it wasn't, but then, we were joking around yesterday saying, Southampton could pull something out against Manchester City, but I don't think anybody expected that to actually happen, and it did. So, I'd expect it to be against Man U, yes, but you never know. You never know.
Steve, do you agree with Carl? Do you think it might be Newcastle, Man United? If you expect Newcastle to get through, even.
I got a funny feeling because obviously everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, this is primed, ready, set, go, lights, camera, action. Let's just fast forward to the final. It's gonna be Newcastle, Manchester United." I got a feeling it's gonna be you know how it's always it's like deja vu. I feel deja vu, to be honest. I don't know with what, but I feel like I've been here before with, it's pretty obvious who should get through to the final, right? And then it just
doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know why, man. I don't know why. I think we're gonna do our business. So I think the upset will happen. Nottingham Forest. I think they can nick a 0-0, and they might just get a 2-1 at home. They've been great at home. They've been great at home. I think they'll.
That's another thing as well. Sorry to butt in, but Southampton have got 6 points from a possible 18 at home so far.
They're terrible.
They've been the worst home record in the Prem.
Yeah.
I'm giving you all the stats as to why we should beat them, and then it probably won't happen.
No, I think look, you've got it. I think look, Nottingham Forest, like Steve says, at home they've been absolutely brilliant. Like considering their away form, they've only picked up one away win in the Premier League this season. Have Nottingham Forest, and that was ironically at Southampton last week, where they won by a goal to 0.
Mm-hmm.
Look, at home, Nottingham Forest rather have been obviously much better. They've taken points off Chelsea, Liverpool,
Spurs, and the
Spurs, and they beat. So they beat Spurs on the way as well too.
And that was a strong Spurs team and a heavily rotated Forest side as well. So, yeah.
From a Newcastle point of view, the teams that they've beaten so far, Tranmere in the second round, which they only scraped through, let's be brutally honest, it wasn't the Chris Woods header in the second half. Third round, Crystal Palace, scraped through, let's be honest, just scraped through. Penalty shootout, Nick Pope saved Newcastle that night with 3 penalty saves. And then Bournemouth, I'm going to say it again, scraped
1-0,
through against
wasn't it?
Bournemouth. We didn't, like me and you were there that night, Carl. Newcastle only just done enough, but Bournemouth had a couple of opportunities, maybe because of the fact it was the first game after the World Cup. Maybe it was a bit somber, but and then last night against Leicester was probably the most dominant performance out of the 4 games we've had so far. It's almost the best way to do it. You almost want to peak at the end because if you do, you probably end up having a trophy from it. But I don't want to sound like Sam, but there's no easy games in the semi-final, so you have to give Southampton that respect, don't you, Carl?
You do, and God forbid it doesn't happen, but Southampton go on and beat us, and they'll have deserved to have done that. Do you know what I mean? Like they deserved to beat Manchester City. There's no fluke involved, so whatever happens would arguably be a deserved outcome. So I believe it's ours to lose. Sorry,
Carl. Newcastle have just put on their Twitter account, Newcastle will face Southampton in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. We will be away from home in the first leg. It's the Alan Shearer derby, the Adam Armstrong derby. There's probably loads of players that have played for both of these sides as well that have probably missed out as well. But it is that derby. It is Newcastle versus Southampton. I think I'd like to get both your opinions on this. Sal Milner wasn't at Newcastle versus Leicester because his missus said no. Carl's gone again, Steve. Carl's gone again. He's probably laughing.
I've got people ringing me, mate. Sorry.
No, it's okay. And also, I don't know if you caught it there, Carl. I just basically said that Sam Milner wasn't allowed to go to the Leicester game because his missus said he wasn't allowed to.
I did offer it him as well.
Your brother Chris, jokes can come later. So I don't think it's that sort of phone call. Chris, Carl's brother, wasn't allowed to go to the Leicester game because his missus said no. So, will we see Sam Milner and Carl's brother Chris at the Southampton game?
You'll get one of them. You'll get one of them. I don't know which one.
Definitely be Chris, mate. He's booked his hotel for that and Wembley, I believe.
Whoever treats their beautiful significant other the nicest during the week, there you go. That's who will get it.
Oh, trust me,
No,
Chris will be there.
what they're basically saying, Steve, is that
Chris,
I'll let you go.
Chris is
I'll
going.
let you go to Newcastle if you take me out for Valentine's Day. That's what they're thinking right now. I think I'll wrap things up here. Newcastle United are going to be taking on Southampton in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. It's Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United in the other draw. Some people have already booked their hotels for Wembley. Is that a bit too soon? Because Newcastle still need to get the job done against Southampton. Lee's going to quickly say something. Well, I can't hear you, Lee, to be honest.
on
You might
mute.
want to unmute yourself. Quickly, Lee.
That would help, wouldn't it? Hey. You can tell I'm not in the studio. Just saying hi. Thank you, everybody, for watching us. Hope you like the Carabao Live Cup draw. And let's believe, let's dream, everybody.
We're the famous Newcastle United, and we might be going to Wembley.
Bring it
See you all
on.
very soon.